From the heartbreak of seeing his true love move on to a faint glimmer of hope for a fresh start. Here's all you need to know about Scott Disick's reaction to Kourtney Kardashian's pregnancy with Travis Barker. Hands up if you thought that after all the tough times, Kourtney and Scott would finally find their way back to each other. Their relationship has been one wild roller coaster ride, and we've been hanging on for dear life. This new pregnancy announcement was definitely a hard pill to swallow for Scotty, but buckle up because it's about to get crazy. With Kourt announcing a new addition to the Barker Kardashian residence, I've got the inside scoop on Scott's jaw-dropping reaction. That being said, here's a blast from the past. Scott and Kourt go back to 2006. Their whirlwind romance is well documented in the reality series Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Scott raised more red flags than a bullfighter from the get-go. Their on-again, off-again relationship made Ross and Rachel look like a healthy couple. But no matter how much they fought, we couldn't help but root for a patch-up. In 2015, it went downhill for them when Scott's cheating allegations came to light, and his struggle with substance abuse got out of hand. Even though they called it quits for good, Scott hung on to that tiny glimmer of hope that the two would find their way back to each other. But Kourt's new beau, Travis Barker, shook poor Disick from his dream. He's stuck between his everlasting feelings for Kourtney to wanting to move on. His struggle is no secret to the public. I'll cover that in a bit, but let's return to Kourtney's fabulous pregnancy announcement. That's when all eyes went from the baby to Mr. Disick for his reaction. Here's the kicker. Scott didn't find out about the pregnancy like the rest of us. Oh no, Kourtney made sure he was one of the first to hear. And you can bet your bottom dollar that they had a heart-to-heart about it. After all, they are co-parenting 3 kids together, and adding another sibling is bound to shake things up. But hey, the Flip It Like Disick alum is trying his darn best to be happy for his ex. Kudos to him, am I right? According to a close source, these two are on good terms. Also, he might finally be coming to terms with the fact that their relationship is over. Amazing, right? We don't want him stuck in the past with Kourtney moving on. Speaking of which, do you know how the soon-to-be mom of 4 announced her pregnancy? It was adorable, and I bet it stung Scotty at least a little. The Kardashian recreated one of her husband's music videos, All the Small Things. The video showed a woman standing at their concert, cheering and holding a sign in her hands that read, "Travis, I'm pregnant." Kourtney made the sign, jumped up and down, and acted like a total fangirl. When Travis saw the sign, he left his drum set behind, jumped off the stage, and embraced his lover. Made for each other, am I right? But that only added insult to injury for Scotty. Seeing all this, I'm guessing Scott's going to try his best to really move on. Which he already is, to be very honest. Disick went on and did the unthinkable. He reached out and congratulated the happy couple. Did any of you expect this maturity from him? He didn't overstep, at least not this time. Our man knows that Kourt and Travis have wanted this for a long time. So at this point, it's no longer about getting back together with the mother of his children, but making sure that she remains happy. Not that he has a choice, to be honest. It isn't hard to imagine that until the very last moment, he'd hoped that something would work out between them. But I guess at this point, it's more about being there for each other. Now, neither us nor Scotty, for that matter, are strangers to Travis and Kourt's difficulties during their pregnancy journey. They even started IVF, but had to put things on hold to focus on the wedding and everything. Finally, with things working out, the couple is over the moon. The Blink-182 drummer even shared an intimate Instagram post with the caption, "Overwhelmed with gratitude and joy for God's blessing and plan." Fans couldn't help but gush over the photos. Some commented that they were rooting for them, while others called it a perfect callback to the band's music video. If you thought the fans' reaction to the pregnancy announcement was going to be a Scott-free zone, well, you thought wrong. There were even comments saying, "Someone go check on Scott." Judging from his reaction, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he'll be fine. But that doesn't mean Travis, Kourtney, and Scott's relationship is problem-free. Did you know Lord Scott didn't get the invite to the couple's Italian wedding in 2022? So, what do you do when your ex doesn't want you at her big fancy wedding? You go on a solo vacation to chill out. Mind you, Kourt and Travis had two smaller weddings before the grand finale, and Scott wasn't there either. I guess it's a good thing he stayed away from all that. Can you even imagine the media frenzy that would have surrounded him? One misplaced eye roll or a suspicious side eye, and Kris Jenner would have had to fight off one hell of a scandal. And not to mention the gut-wrenching pain of seeing the one become the one that got away. It's been a tough time for Scott as it is. The only connection to the family is his children. So the socialite is confused about where he fits into the family, but more on that later. First, let's talk about how he's really doing. As I said, it's no walk in the park to see your ex be happy and start over. His mixed feelings about Kourtney's new relationship have been no secret. It's got to be a tough position for Scott. On the one hand, he still loves her. On the other hand, she's happy, and he really isn't one to bargain, considering how he treated her the first time around. But at this point, I don't think he can do much other than focus on himself. That's the first thing on his to-do list now. Scott might have lost Kourtney, but he definitely wants to be a hands-on dad for their children. So right now, he's taking time to focus on his well-being and learning to process this situation smartly. You go, Scott. He's going to focus on being excited and happy for her as she welcomes another kid with a new partner. Coming back to Disick's place among the Jenners. The Kardashians' 2022 season focused on Scott's internal battle. He's got a good bond going with the family, but with Kourtney's moving on with her new life, where does that put him? The man confessed that it's hard to see Kourtney happy with Travis, but it does give him the freedom to move on. It makes sense, right? He's no longer thinking, does she love me? Is she going to get back with me? I've got some bad news here. The two are only focusing on co-parenting their kids together. As for the rest of the family, they're trying to make Scott feel as welcome as possible. And Mama Kris's efforts are at the top of the list. She wished him well on Instagram with the caption, "You'll always be a special part of our family." Is Kris the only one feeling this way? Or do the other siblings think of Scotty as a clan member too? Now, if you think Scott's remorse-free, then that's not true. He opened up about his breakup with Kourtney, saying that all the partying and infidelity were normal to him, but that's because he wasn't in his senses. He even confessed that none of that would have happened had he been sober. As sad as it is, Lord Disick knows that he and Kourt are never getting back together. What can he do now? Process it all in a healthy way, I guess. He's focusing on his family. And get this, he'd rather be around Kourtney, Travis, and his family than be petty and avoid all of them. Who knew Scotty could be so mature? Right now, it's all about adjustments for the father of three. First, losing Kourtney as a partner, and now as a best friend, too. That has to suck. But this might be the wake-up call Scott needs to finally move on. If not, the Scotty simp train is on full throttle. We can only hope he'll be getting off at the next stop. So there you have it. From a faint glimmer of hope for a fresh start, to the heartbreak of seeing his true love move on. That was all for Scott Disick's reaction to Kourtney Kardashian's pregnancy with Travis Barker.